Hello everyone, and welcome to Left of Meta! The idea behind this series is to highlight some decent to good sets that can be good for either newer players who want a good starting point to work from, or for older players who just want to mess around and look at some of the sets that aren't Reliquin, Sororia, Yolnahkrin, and Olorime for their DPS tanks and healers. And before we get into the actual sets, a couple of very quick ground rules. First off, these sets will always be Overland PvP, crafted sets, or base game dungeons. And they will be tested alongside other sets, which will be listed in the video and linked in the description below. For the most part, those sets will be Leviathan from Crypt of Parts and the Maelstrom Bow for stamina characters, Mother's Sorrow from Deshaan and the Maelstrom Staff for Magicka characters, Spell Power Cure and the Master's Resto Staff from White Gold Tower for healers, and Ebon Armory for tanks. This week's set is called Crafty Alfiq. It drops from the Northern Elsewhere region, and while it usually isn't super cheap on guild stores, at the time of recording this, the prices are way down because the Northern Elsewhere sets, as well as every Southern Elsewhere set, were flooded into the market because of the Elsewhere event, and therefore this set will be really cheap right now. This set grants the following benefits. At 2 items, it adds 1096 maximum magicka. At 3 items, it adds 1096 maximum magicka. At 4 items, it adds 1096 maximum magicka. And at 5 items, it adds 2550 maximum magicka. This week's video also includes the Iceheart Monster Set, found in Dire Frost Keep Veteran. So this set gives a very clear upside. It's a lot of maximum magicka, and that is a ton of resources to work with, and because your max resource increases your damage done with a specific type, it can be very useful in that situation. The other thing is that this is just consistent. You don't need to worry about uptimes, you don't need to worry about standing in a specific place. It's just raw stats, which is very good for when you're starting out and don't want to have to think about balancing standing in Sororia or keeping up Diamond's Victory, etc., while you're trying to still learn your rotation. This is a pretty good set to just throw on and then figure out your rotation from there. However, unlike Law of Julianos that we've talked about in the past, this set doesn't actually have any crit or damage buffs, which means it's going to scale slightly worse than something like Law of Julianos or Mother's Sorrow. Now, it is worth noting here that this is a very popular Magicka PvP set, because having those extra resources is a lot more valuable in PvP than it is in PvE, for reasons that I do not understand well enough to fully explain to you here. From what I know, it's about being able to push the advantage and cast more skills, but I'm not positive or confident in that statement. So if anyone who actually knows anything about PvP would like to leave a comment explaining that, I will pin that comment below. All in all, this is a pretty okay DPS set. It's not going to be amazing, but it is good and it's consistently decent for a cheap, easy to get set that you can buy on guild stores or farm yourself. There's not really a ton to say here. It's probably not going to outperform Law of Julianos, but it's also going to be easier to both wrap your head around and play with than something like Diamond's Victory. But I think that's all the time we have for today. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please feel free to like and comment. If you like the series, also feel free to subscribe. Next week we will be talking about the set Winter's Respite. So until then, good luck, stay safe, and don't die.